our life will lead us to our deathbed without substance? Is he saying that knowing pain helps us to appreciate the painlessness that's promised in heaven? Pain's an interesting thing. There's an old African proverb that says, don't teach the child not to touch the fire. Let the fire teach him. Is this the subversive, the countercultural kind of things that we don't talk about in this society? Because you'd be laughed out of the room. And yet the wisdom is so deep. Verse 5, it's better to heed a wise man's rebuke. It's better to listen to that rebuke, that correction, the boss telling you what's up. Rather than, but wait. No, the world tells me to fight back. I want justice. Take it in my own hands. No, you shouldn't talk to me like that. Who are you to correct me? But it says, no, maybe you should consider taking constructive criticism. Maybe you should consider being humble. Even if a child comes up to you and corrects you, maybe it's worth it just to listen. Because maybe it's more about our character and growing in maturity and spirituality than being right. To be humble. In the ancient world, songs could have been a form of escapism. It says in verse 5, it's better to heed the wise man's rebuke than to listen to the song of fools. There's a difference between pop and the blues. And I got nothing against Hanson and bebop, but when you listen to Mississippi John Hurts talk about his experience, when you look, they're all smiling, right? Especially this little one. And he's got a nice smile. I got nothing against these guys. You look at the difference in the eye, in the corner of the mouth, in the maturity, in the lines of experience, the pain, what goes into the song. There's a difference between pop and the blues. Songs could be a form of escapism, or they could be a form of confronting that real pain in our lives. So perhaps the teacher is saying here, it's better to sing the blues than to listen to pop. Verse 6, go on. It says, like the crackling, speaking of pop, snap, crackle, like thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of this stuff. These fools who are laughing, it's meaningless. It's Hebel. This is a Hebrew play on words. In the Hebrew, the word for thorns is serum. The words for pot is seer, and it would sound something like the crackling of nettles under kettles. Nettles under kettles. The kindling, that dry stuff that you use to start a fire when you're camping. And how fast it burns up underneath the kettle. What's he talking about? Well, he's talking about the life of that fool that doesn't take advantage of the deeper, of the subversive, of embracing weakness, of embracing honesty, of embracing dependence and vulnerability. He says it just burns up quick, just like those nettles under kettles. It becomes the wasted mist. Because all of us have mist. The question is, what are you doing with it? Jump down to verse 13. We're going to close our thoughts here with this last couple of words from the teacher. As we look there and as we think about some of the things we talked about today, I want you to ask yourself a question. If you today are a child of God, if you're a follower of Jesus Christ, are you countercultural? Do you stick out like a sore thumb, like a thorn? Like that different person that doesn't totally fit in? Like the Sesame Street, one of these kids is doing his own thing. I remember studying the Bible in Los Angeles with the campus ministry there and realizing very quickly, first, I thought, wow, the diversity of this group. Oh, the young, black and white, everybody from different ages in school and not school and employed and not employed and singer and not singer. There's everybody in this room. This is amazing. I've never seen this in a church. I'm used to churches where Sunday is the most segregated day of the week. So this was wild. I thought, this is crazy. This is cool. And then the more I got to know them, the crazier they got. We went to a movie. PG movie. Oh, okay. Yeah. Maybe they can't handle violence. I don't know what. So we're sitting there, about 8 guys. And a scene comes on that I wouldn't have thought twice about at that time. Didn't really know God. And, it was like a kissing scene, and it got a little sensual. And I was sort of just watching it, And then I sort of, out of the corner of my eye, like there's movement in one of the guys. And I looked to my left, I was sort of in the middle between 9 guys. These guys over here, they all had their head down. And then I looked over on the other side. Sure enough, one of them's like this, and when eyes closed, I'm like, this is strange. Oh, I know what it is. They're all tired because they've been working hard for the Lord, and they're just getting a little shut-eye during the movie. And then as soon as the scene is over, they all sort of pick their head up. And so afterward, I'm like, guys, that was a little strange. What was that all about? I'm having second thoughts about the group now, weird stuff. So, we'll just show you this passage, blessed are the pure in heart, and this whole idea about purity. We don't want to, we don't want to allow ourselves to be tempted if we can control it, to be able to protect our eyes and our heart from impurity. There's so much impurity in the world. There's so much pornography out there and sexual temptation, especially on the college campus. We're just trying to protect our eyes in any way that we can. Here, let me show you another scripture. There's a scripture here. It says Job made a covenant with his eyes not to look lustfully at a woman. And then over here, this guy Jesus talks about in Matthew how it's better to just cut your hand off or your eye out. I'm like, whoa. And then in Ephesians 4, it says, don't harden your heart, because then you get more, addicted to all the sensuality, and then you can't stop it, and then you're addicted to pleasures, and then you go on and on and on and on and on and on. Okay, I got it. How can I get help? How can I resensitize my mind and my conscience? Because I've been hurt, and I've allowed myself to see way too much. And they said, well, you're doing the right thing. Let's continue to study the Bible together and introduce you to the countercultural teaching. Are you countercultural? If you're wondering about Jesus, if you're studying the Bible with us today, if you're thinking about joining us in this countercultural crazy group that puts their head down in movies. And actually I have an app now called Kids in Mind on my iPhone, and it tells me if I should go to that movie or not. And it's got a rating system, and it starts writing it out, what's going on. It says, this, statue over here is this and that and this over there. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to that one. Because I need to protect myself. Are you protecting yourself? I'm not the example here. Jesus is the example. He's the countercultural. He's the one we follow. We're just trying to do our best. Do we stick out? Not in a bad way, not in a weird way. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about it in a Jesus way. In a way that's defensible according to the Bible. Some of us, we're just weird for weird's sake, and that's not good. That's sin of weirdness. And you see that in the New Testament. The guy's like, hey, cool out on that, don't do that. And that's in a whole other sermon. Verse 13. Consider what God has done. Okay, just think about it, because that's a lot. Think of all the things He's created, all the stuff He's allowed to take place on the earth. And then it says, who can straighten what He has made crooked? Couple thoughts. God makes things crooked. God made me cross-eyed. God gave me a left leg that's shorter than my right. God allowed me to be born with a mental disability. Well, I guess God makes things crooked, and some things you just can't straighten out. He did it for some reason, and I'm not sure why. Or maybe it's crooked in our eyes. Oh, God, why'd you make that crooked? It's imperfect. It's wrong. It's flawed. And He's like, fool. No. It's perfect to me. I designed it that way on purpose. You just see it Either way, nothing you can do about it. Verse 14, when times are good, be happy. Because when times are good, you're not going to be able to control when times are good. So just take advantage and be happy, enjoy it. But when times are bad, what? Consider. Think. What can I learn? Because you can't control the times. God has made the one as well as the other. In Isaiah, he says he's responsible sometimes